Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 43. Today's focus will be on the remaking of the meat delivery infrastructure. That was one of the few goods we are still only managing with road vehicles, and today, we will change that. It will require us to rebuild a couple things in Mykolaiv, and to create a workaround in Mudigrad. You'll see what I mean when we get to them. The only other place we needed to retrofit for this new delivery method to work was Mudigrad, but that will be the easiest part. We have a lot of room to work with, since the warehouse was already on the edge of town, so adding a small sub-branch wasn't complicated. Apart from that, we will continue chipping away at our considerable construction backlog. We will also pretty much finalize the new housing district in Mykolaiv, only requiring power and heating. Unfortunately, because of the extra work I put on the rail CO, we will not finish building the vehicle factory branch. I can only hope the next video will be the one. First things first, I will replace that turnaround I unthinkingly deleted in the last episode. We still needed to electrify the track segments that we can only reach with its help. Let's not forget that we will need power in this place. Thankfully, we still have that transformer nearby we can tap into. This new district will need its own supply of heating and power. For heating, I will try out that idea I had when I first placed the pump at the edge of town. I want to see if giving it 2 incoming pipes from the heating plant, and 2 outgoing pipes to the heat exchangers would give them the maximum throughput, or if the pump has a limit on it. Of course, we are far from having enough demand for heating in the entire city to check it just yet. I'm not even sure we ever will, especially if I space out houses like I did. Wait. Never mind. We are already over capacity on the first exchanger. I only caught it while editing the video, so I better add this issue to the to-do list. So, regardless how the experiment will turn out, we will definitely need to expand the heating capacity in Mykolaiv. As usual, piping under rail tracks is more difficult than it should be. We need to go 3 steps deeper than default. I think we can do a better job routing the cables than this. Okay. Time to start doing the meat delivery infrastructure. For that, we will need to temporarily stop delivering the other consumer goods to Mykolaiv, so first, I'll check if we have enough of them in stock to weather the interim. I think we do, so next, I will temporarily remove this stop from the delivery routes, so those trains don't get confused. The reason for this is because without moving the warehouse's tracks, we wouldn't have enough room to add the cargo station, which will be connected to the meat storage. Unfortunately, we will need to remove, and then rebuild this road bridge as well. I wish collision boxes were more consistent. I will build this as a single rail segment, so I don't need to worry about doing it in stages. Okay, now that we have enough room, let's place the generic cargo station. This new epidemic report was a bit more worrying than usual. It was a serious illness that was supposedly very contagious. So I kept the hospital window open to monitor the situation. Anyways, we only need to add the freezer building to the station with a factory connection. After making sure that the slopes are to our liking, it's ready to be built. And that's about it for the station itself. Once the warehouse tracks are done, I will add the side branch for this station too, and it will be ready to go. The sister station in Mudigrad will be a much easier affair. We have plenty of room to work with. Yeah, I know. I will add the other side of the entrance track later. Now, it would be best if we set up a pickup station in Brooklyn. That way, we can completely eliminate the need for long-range meat haulage on the roads. Once again, try not to use the generic bulldozer if there's a danger of accidentally deleting things you don't want to. I'm just glad we have access to the helicopter construction now. Also, I would advise you to build such construction crossings a bit further away from the actual building site. Since I put it so close, I will have to use the dev cheats to send the track layers home a couple times, since they won't be able to leave the crossing and turn around. Just to ensure the continuity of the meat deliveries, I deleted all other construction assignments from the heli CO, so it will prioritize the accidentally deleted power line. Without power, the production buildings cannot function. Anyways, that's the 3 new stations that we need. The new animal farm we are still building is already built around train deliveries, so no need to worry about that one. And that's the warehouse fully reconnected to the rail network. I'll add the tracks for the new station, and then tell the trains to resume delivering stuff. Thankfully, the warehouse retained the rail distribution office assignments, so bread should still be okay. To be perfectly honest, I was astonished that we managed to get through this episode without a single crash, even though I kept messing around with the rails. Okay. The Mudigrad bread factory is already dangerously low on grain, and it's only the end of March. I think I will add a couple more fields to compensate. Although, I suspect the main reason for this shortcoming is less about the availability of grain, and more about the fact that we only have a single small distribution office for all these fields. I already added the task of building a second DO for this side of the farm. So that will be one thing to do in the next episode. Well, it seems we only had enough room in the local DOs for 3 more fields, so only adding 3 worked out just fine. I tried to add a road connection to this station, but it turned out to be impossible. Building it won't be a problem, thanks to our helicopters, but fire safety will be an issue, so I will need to keep trying in the next episode. Unfortunately, I diverted too many of our construction vehicles, and they will not finish building the farm itself before sowing season ends. So, we will need to wait until next year for the first harvest. But, at least we can set up the distribution office. I guess that's something. Well, cannot set it up completely, we still have quite a bit of road building ahead of us. Alright then, that's the Mikhailovia meat delivery station ready to go. We only need to finish the other 2. I forgot to add a road for the Mudigrad Station. Thankfully, it's an easy project, so it won't take long. And I just noticed all these nodes on this road. Let's get rid of them if we can. Thankfully, this time the one-way road method decided to cooperate. I was a bit bummed out that I didn't manage to start up production in the second animal farm. Oh well, there's always next year. Okay, that's the tracks done for the Mudigrad Station. We only need to finish the main event, and it's done. And I finally realized that I still need to add the second half of this junction. Now that I'm more experienced, I wish I could go back in time to redesign this place. I'm more satisfied with how the vehicle factory junction turned out. And the first beachgoers arrived. Hopefully, we will start seeing some tourists enjoying the sun in an episode or two. And that's the Mudigrad Station done. After the last one is finished, we can start reorganizing the entire meat delivery network. Okay, let's get to it. It's a bit of a slog, but it has to be done. First, we can repurpose the old road delivery route. They can ferry meat from the old storage to the train station instead. Let's not forget to add the trains too. They are the whole reason I did all this. Let's use one of the newer locomotives. I've been using that Polish PW since the start. We have 2 towns, so we will use 2 trains. For now, both of them will use the Brooklyningrad pickup point, but once we have goods in the other farm, the Mikhailovia train will use that instead. At this point, there is no point keeping the old delivery trucks around. And we don't need that many of them moving meat between the 2 storages either, so I will sell most of them from this line as well. And of course, we will need to reorganize the town distribution lines too. Instead of going for the old storages, they instead will start using the new ones. Also, it seems I made a mistake when naming 2 of these lines in the past. Good thing I caught the errors. By the time I finish reorganizing the meat deliveries, everything should be named correctly. And that should be it. From now on, the local delivery trucks will start picking up meat from the train stations. At this point, I told the trains to wait for a full unload. I will change my mind in a little bit. You'll see why when we get to it. Looking at this list, I think rearranging some of the word orders would yield a better organized list of lines. For example, instead of naming the commuter lines by place names first, we could name them the other way around. Line type, then the place name, and then the number. Something new to add to the to-do list. With that, all lines should be named correctly. Here, I decided to go ahead with the construction on the new district. I still told all of the apartments to not let people in just yet, but might as well get one step closer. We still have quite a few tons of meat stuck in the old storages. To remedy that situation, I decided to buy 2 fridge trucks, who will move between the old and new buildings, and slowly empty out the old ones. Unfortunately, that farm was completely built by helicopters. The road leading to it is still unfinished, so we cannot even deliver fuel to it. Might as well add a bit of extra help for the road vehicles, so they can tackle those roads from 2 directions. Speaking of farm roads, the one that kept those 2 fields out of reach in Gemstonia is done, so we can finalize the assignments. It's too late to sow them, but they are ready to go for the next spring. Let's not forget that we will need to add footpaths for our citizens to get around the new district. Unfortunately, the old circular pattern doesn't really work this time, so we will need to settle for something more bland. This one is too close to the building to allow a connection to be made. Giving it some distance will fix that. I will need to add a small connection on that crosswalk near the bus stop, so all houses have the access they need. Rewatching the footage always keeps adding more and more things to my to-do list. I don't really know why the rail CO stopped auto-assigning the older segments that they were working on before I rerouted their efforts. This will be the main reason why we won't finish this part of the main line today. If they got back to work on their own, we could have started delivering materials to the vehicle factory at the very least, but we most likely could have started production too. It's been way too long since they finished building the last rail segment for the meat delivery stations. Such a shame. We are close to harvesting season, so we might as well start ferrying workers over to Gemstonia. The food factories will soon be able to start making bread. I was debating whether I should keep adding more buses to the train station that is already under a bit of a strain. But we need to do it. The only feasible new pickup point for workers will be the bus stop in the new district, so that won't work here. Let's not forget to only allow workers to go to the food factories. They don't need to work on the fields. Good thing I zoomed in. It seems I almost built a lot of wooden tracks again. There is still one last segment that is obscured by those connection overlays, but I'll notice it soon. All the new buses arrived at once. Once they space themselves out, the traffic jam should not be an issue anymore. And this is where I change my mind on the meat trains waiting for a full unload. We can speed up those 2 temporary trucks by letting the trains run continuously. If they stop to wait every time, then those trucks will have a very small window of opportunity to drop off anything. Once the old freezers are empty, we can re-enable the full unload option. In the meantime, we managed to accrue enough dollars to be able to afford a second vehicle blueprint. This time, I think I will invest in a new harvester model. The improvement isn't as great as it was with the road paver, but it's still better, so might as well do it. It seems we will need to add a gas station along the bus route going to Gemstonia. Thankfully, we still have that transformer nearby, so we can use that to power it. Not much left of this whole rail project. Can't wait to start using it properly. Since the new hospital is done, might as well start moving fuel to it. I'm still not sure how to decorate the area, but the front of the university is at least easy in that regard. A simple monument will do. Of course, we can make it look even better with a bit of extra ground textures. It seems the lookout tower will need power to function. Good to know. Too bad the one we placed to power the new district cannot reach it. Okay, the gas station is done. We can tell the fuel DO in Kirchhoff to fill it up, and as soon as the substation is finished, those buses should start rolling again. And that takes care of the fuel problems. The buses are on the move once more. And this is where I noticed that last piece of track with wooden foundations. As far as I can tell, that should be the last one. Hey, look! Harvesting is in full swing in Gemstonia. This should give us a lot of bread to feed our citizens with. Because these workshop grain silos only have one drop-off spot, there is a pretty hefty queue forming in front of them. I will need to keep an eye on it, to see if it will be a problem or not. Although I doubt that it will. Anyways, That farm is now accessible. It's too late for this year, but might as well set it up for the next season. The remaining work on these tracks is minimal, compared to the overall effort. Once they reach the warehouse, we only need to electrify the entire stretch, and it will be ready to go. But judging by the remaining time left on this video, I think you might have guessed that it will have to wait for the next episode. Anyways, those two old meat storages are already over half empty. Not long before they are fully used up, and we can stop running the trains continuously. Now, let's see what's in store for episode 44. Here, I'm a bit lost. While we did manage to chip away at our construction backlog, it's still far from finished. The new steel mill is nowhere near finished, and that place will take a while to complete, due to its remote placement. So, instead of making concrete plans, I'll just brainstorm a little, and see which one is the most feasible. I'd like to do something that requires a lot of planning and tinkering, but not that much actual construction work. One thing we could do is to start moving some chemicals to the fabric factories. We already have a central warehouse there, and we could set aside a small portion of its storage space for this. Currently, chemicals are our second most expensive imports, and all of those are going towards Kirkimov. We could connect one of the factories up to the warehouse directly, and only use trucks to transfer the goods for the other one. Yeah, that sounds about right. In fact, I should have done this long ago. But that will be a minor undertaking, so let's see what else we can do. Next, when I was looking at our list of imports from the last 2 years, I noticed that we are still importing a tiny amounts of construction materials. Namely 8 tons of steel, 16 tons of boards, and 49 tons of gravel. That gave me the idea of going over every single distribution office, and double checking that they are working correctly. And while pondering that, I arrived at the conclusion that we should redo the original border outpost, where this entire series started. We are not using that place anymore, so it might not be the worst idea to rearrange some things. I'd still use it as an emergency construction hub, but with a more thought out arrangement. We can get rid of the old rail construction office, since we have that new one near Lukovo, and the small heating plant is also superfluous at this point, since the big one between Mudigrad and Ferrograd is more than enough to heat the city. After reworking that place, it would be a purely import-based construction yard. It's more of a Frankenstein monster at this point, since I kept changing the source of the different materials throughout the lifetime of the area. Setting it in stone once and for all might be for the best. Yeah. I think that will keep us busy for a little bit, while we keep chipping away at our new steel mill. Anyways, I hope you liked the video. If you did, dropping a like and subscribing to the channel just might motivate me to make more. Until then, see you later.